Welcome to After Dark at the Fixed Ops Roundtable, featuring Katrina Ness, Vanessa Collins, and Ted Ings. This episode is brought to you by BG Products, partners beyond products. And now for your hosts, Ted Ings, Vanessa Collins, and Katrina Ness.
Good evening, everyone. Happy Monday night, and welcome to our After Dark show. Tonight, our featured guest is Tom Druzynski, Director of Service Operations at WestHerr Automotive Group. This is the largest dealer group in the state of New York with around 40 franchises. Tom, we're so happy to have you here tonight.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Tom, I'm excited. I told a couple people, they said, who's going to guest Monday night? I said, Tom Druzynski is going to be on. They're like, wow, Tom's going to be on the show. So that name packs a punch, Tom. So we're honored to have you, my friend.
I appreciate that. I saw some heavy hitters in the pre-roll in the opening there, though.
There's been a few heavy hitters along the way, yourself included. And I think you've been involved, Tom, with the roundtable through a lot of that. If I'm not mistaken, you go back to the early days, like 4 years ago. You've been on a lot of panels.
Yeah, that's about right. I think it was 2020 that I started doing these with you.
Yeah, and that was during that crazy period, and everyone was looking for ideas. And there's been and we've had all kinds of people on the roundtable. So again, we're really honored to have you representing Western New York, WestHerr, the largest, as Katrina said, automotive group in the state of New York. And Vanessa, welcome, and excited for all the great work you and Katrina are doing on the content side.
Thank you. Yeah, it has been so fun. We're definitely getting ready for our next event, so it's been great.
Yeah, there's a lot happening. Michelle McLean, good evening. And we got some surprises tonight. Vanessa, you've been working on some trivia that involves some pictures. Tell us a little bit about that and how that ties into the event.
Yeah, so I've been working on like Ted said, kind of a trivia to kind of get interactive with our After Dark shows. So we have had some people in the automotive, a lot of familiar faces that you've seen on our different events or our After Dark shows. And they've sent us pictures of themselves from the 90s. And you have to guess who it is. So it'll be super fun. We're going to be doing that at the end of our show tonight.
So stand by, everybody. We have some great pictures of a lot of people from the roundtable that you may recognize. Good evening, Coralie. Good evening, Katie Mears, Sean Kingery, Michelle McLean. And we'll see if you all can recognize them. And we'll invite everyone to submit pictures of yourself. And you can also post them on social media and tag us at Fixed Ops Roundtable, Larry Sherman. And I would really like to see Larry Sherman, Vanessa, okay, and how he looked back in the 90s, because
yeah, you better send us a picture of yourself in the 90s. I'll turn it into a little frame. It'll be fun.
But Larry, I think we're going to have a friend of yours on here tonight. So stand by. I don't know who exactly. I know, again, Vanessa's been working on this. Katrina and Tom have not seen any of this that we have going on. So it'll be news to all of us. So stand by for all that. So ladies, Tom Druzynski represents the best of the best, great thought leader in our industry, represents a lot of franchises in Western New York, and very unique because between that Buffalo and Rochester market on the I-90 in the snow belt, we were just talking about that in the green room, they've got a lot of dealerships in a fairly small area, Katrina. And I know you guys want to ask some questions of Tom tonight and find out more.
Yeah. All right. So our first question for you, Tom, is very simple. It's just, how did you get into the business?
So it's kind of a similar story. I think sometimes people in our industry kind of end up here by accident and then stay forever because they just fall in love with it. And it's kind of a similar story. So back in the day, and this is in the 90s. So I wanted to go to school. My career goal, I wanted to work for NASA. I was big into physics. I wanted to get into aerodynamics, thermodynamics, and then ultimately ceramics. That was the path that I thought that I had myself on. I ended up at 18. My oldest daughter was born. I had custody of her by the time I was 19. So my choice was to stop going to school and find a career which ended up being the absolute best thing that could have ever happened to me. So I had a friend whose father got me into selling cars. I worked at a local Pontiac Jeep GMC store, and I sold cars for a period of time. Realized quickly that at 18, 19 years old, I had no idea how to budget, not a clue. So I would have weeks where I'd make a few $1,000s and it would be gone. The next week I didn't sell anything. I'm on a draw. The following week I sold a Sunfire, so they took the drawback, and I literally would have zero money. All my bills come due, and I'm like, I got nothing. But I did have a pair of Bruno Magli loafers, to show for it, that I wore a hole in walking through the lot. So just being terrible at budgeting, I answered an ad to start at another dealer group, answering phones. So I answered the phones. They had a term for me that I don't think that it's appropriate to repeat here as far as what my actual job title was. But reality, I did whatever they told me to do. If I had to clean the bathroom, I cleaned the bathroom. If I had to take out the trash, I did that. I would answer phones. I would go pick up customers. I would run and pick up parts. I really would just do whatever, whatever it was that they told me to do. And then from there, I was able to start doing some of the internal paperwork. I was able to start doing some of the express sort of paperwork, and really just worked my way up from there.
And by the way, Sean Butler, we see you in the chat as well, and Don Brady as well. So for some reason, some of those are not coming up, but we do see you. And Sean, thank you for being with us tonight. Tom, you and I were just talking about Sean Butler, recently, and
sure.
I really appreciate. I know he appreciates as well the video you left week before last. But Tom, what a fighter Sean Butler is! Absolutely,
and an absolute inspiration.
I didn't know you sold cars. I had no idea, Tom.
I did. I was okay at it. It's tough. I mean, there were 30 of us on the floor. They kind of had the magic number where everybody you just hung just underneath the levels, like the bonus levels, where you really started to make money. But it gave me a great insight into the business. And once I got in, I loved it. I've always loved cars, so it was a natural fit.
By the way, we learned the term skater a few weeks ago, Katrina, and we were referring to our friend Michelle McLean. I didn't realize she was a skater, but Tom, you know what a skater is, right? From being on the floor.
Yep.
Okay. Were you a skater at all or no?
No, I generally didn't skate deal. It was the opposite. I had a lot of people that skated my deals.
Okay. Just kidding. All right, Michelle, we're just kidding. Just have some love.
But Tom, that's truly like just an amazing story, because life will sometimes throw things at you and it's like, well, gotta change my life now. But you're in an amazing place right now. And like you said, I guess you're happier than you could have ever been with the turnout of it. Yeah,
I couldn't imagine being in a better place. And I just kept going. I mean, I again, that kind of desire to learn, even though I wasn't, I didn't go to college. I never stopped learning, even to this day. I mean, I've got an 80-mile commute to work. So I go through books on Audible. A 10-hour book or 11-hour book is done in 2.5 days. So there are some weeks where I'll go through 2-3 books a week, just in the back and forth.
Wow.
80 miles is a lot.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, I do a lot of driving. About roughly 1,000 miles a week is my typical commute.
But Tom, it's all a straight shot, right?
It is
mostly on one road.
It is, and it's kind of funny because you take the 90 gets you all the way from Rochester to Buffalo, which is super easy. But then once you get to Buffalo, I was amazed to find out that almost all of our stores are technically on one road. So transit, where most of our stores are, you go one direction, it takes you all the way down into Lockport. You go the other direction, it takes you all the way into Orchard Park in Hamburg. So almost all of our stores are in Buffalo are located on one strip. And we strategically kind of have the same types of stores in the north that we have in the south, so that people have the option to go north or go south. But either way, we've got convenient locations.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Audiobooks are also great for learning. And like you said, you can never stop learning. So that's awesome.
Totally. So you wrote an article for the Fixed Ops magazine that the hammer leader does not work. Tell us a little bit about that. Just from reading that question, I'm like,
So the term that we use, and my current boss and mentor Jay, we use this all the time, is, when you're a hammer, the whole world's a nail. So generally you have, as that style, you have one way to communicate, and that's your way, and it's my way or the highway. You operate through fear, and it's you're in or you're out. There's no in between. So I'm watching more and more as our business, back in the day, like you go into the 90s, that worked okay, because I don't think that people necessarily had the choices and the transparency that they do today with pay from other locations. I mean, you can go to websites, you can go through LinkedIn, you can go through Glassdoor, you can find out what everybody is paying in the area, you can find out all the benefits. So you really have this amazing amount of information now, and I think that's a part of it. So people maybe didn't have the opportunities that they had today. A little bit more fear. They weren't necessarily looking to go out and move. But also, I think that just overall, the communication styles have changed. And our leaders, if you are not able to flex to those communication styles, right? And in some of our larger stores, our service manager might have 80 people, 90 people, 100 people in their department that they have to deal with. And that's just within their own department. They can't, you can't rightfully expect that 80 or 90 different people all learn to flex to your style. But within those employee groups, you as a leader need to be able to communicate, connect with your people one-on-one, and communicate with them the way that they want to communicate, right? And to be able to then find the trigger points and find the ways to inspire and to motivate or inspire them. But everybody's a little bit different. And for me, I just watched that sort of personality type start to really chase people away. It's a time where it used to be that they're like, well, we don't want to coddle anybody. I'm not going to. It's not coddling. Sometimes you just need to be able to say, hey, good job, right? And do it for no reason. Just tell people that they're doing a good job. The term that I use is emotional deposits, right? So every time you have that positive interaction, you have some sort of interaction without an agenda, you're making a deposit into an emotional bank account. So when the time comes and that you have to have a tough conversation with that person, or you got to have a direct conversation, you've earned the right to do so. And you're able to make that small withdrawal. If all you do is withdraw, at some point that account goes negative. And there's no choice but that relationship breaks, and you start to see that happening. And I mean, thankfully, I don't think, and in the group, I know that I don't have any service managers that operate that way. But I think in the industry, more and more of the people that I talk to, and the ones that are really recognized as successful, that seems to be that we're shifting away from that personality style.
That is a great analogy, honestly. For recognition and reward is very important, I feel like, in this industry. So that's awesome.
And that was why I said I'd asked Marco, how many vehicles can you fix with just a hammer? You've got to have an entire toolbox full of tools in order to fix a vehicle, and the same goes with dealing with people.
There you go.
But by the way, I'd like something, Vanessa, that Tom brought up on a recent panel, maybe 2 roundtables ago. Tom's on the Automax Tech Vengers panel, a great panel with Joe Lockwood, and Marco is on that one as well. And the subject came up about the older technician, and I'll use Marco's name, who's been in the business for, going on 20 years, maybe more, right? And, you saw the picture over the weekend of Marco and his hands, his hands are all, cut up and bruised up. He was working on a wiring harness. He told me about the whole thing over the phone earlier today. And, you mentioned that the senior technicians in the shop, as they gravitate to that position, can be utilized in better ways, okay, to help mentor others. So rather than try to chase those hours, you recommended something that you're doing there, I believe at WestHerr, is put them in a senior mentorship position and pay them on that. And I have gradually heard dealers around the country talk about the panel that you were on and saying, you know what, we're doing that now. And Tom, I really give all that credit to you and what you said on that panel.
Well, thank you. It's something we've been doing for a long time. I mean, it's, you can choose to try to steal technicians from other places, but generally all you're going to do is to continue to bring up your costs, and then potentially to hurt somebody that works. I learned that lesson early in this job, where I overpaid for a technician, and it cost me, one of the brightest young shop leaders that we had, because I ended up paying that technician more than him, and he felt that I thought he wasn't worth that money. So it creates situations like that. So, our feeling is, if you can create your own, bring them up from early in the game, teach them, that they're the right people. You're teaching them the way that you want things done in your store. It just makes all the sense in the world. And it gives that outlet to those older technicians. It's not, I always, again, I've got all my silly Tom sayings, but it's not the hours that we care about. It's the people. And I'm hopefully Tully didn't hear me say it's not the hours, but it is the people. When I'm dealing with one of those technicians, I can overcome the loss of production, but I can't overcome the loss of the person. So I would rather I take them and allow them to start to make little mini clones of themselves and teach those upcoming young technicians how we do this.
He must have heard you. Here's Tully now.
He did. He heard me. And now I'm going to be in trouble.
I heard OMG.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Tully, don't go away. We got some great trivia coming up that you're going to want to see here in just a few minutes. So
Stay till the end.
Stay tuned. Okay. I apologize. Ladies, great
good.
stuff from Tom so far.
Yeah. So, Tom, it seems like you have some very valuable insights, which leads us to our next question, which is, how did WestHerr get so lucky to have you? Or in other words, how did you find your way to WestHerr, which is, again, the largest franchise dealer in New York?
So that was one that was also kind of like a happy coincidence for me. I had spent 15 years at another dealer group in Rochester. Fantastic owner operator. That some of the people that were in leadership at that time were that hammer kind of a style. And I felt that I was never going to succeed because that wasn't my style. And I didn't believe that somebody that can operate through empathy and respect, mutual respect, I didn't necessarily think that was somebody that could lead. And I thought that was true for the entire industry. I was looking at getting out of the retail side of auto, and I was going to become potentially a fixed ops specialist for my brother-in-law, or my cousin had worked for a group, one of those software kind of groups that now have changed hands 50 times. So I was going to go there and be a fixed ops expert for them. And then we had an ex-WestHerr employee came to that group, left, came back to WestHerr, and he had introduced me to my current bosses. And I, just had a couple of discussions with them. My wife loves it because at the time I had surgery on my spinal cord in 2013. So when I was out recovering, my conversation with Jay Galligan, my current boss, that was my first time out of the house. So I get out of the house. It turns out that I have meningitis. So I had sterile chemical meningitis from the surgery. So I have meningitis. I'm on narcotics, and somehow I still managed to talk my way into a job. So my wife's like, there's the salesperson in you, and with all of those things going on, you can still talk your way into the job.
Yeah. But
the wonderful thing in having the conversation with WestHerr was, for them, it quickly was apparent that they weren't necessarily just about the money. They said a lot of the things in the interview that rang true, and then it came time to talk about, hey, what do you need? And I give them my number, and they were like, okay. And that was it. There was no, you're going to chase. It was this. It was just like, this is the flat, this is the number. And they didn't even have a position for me at the time. There was no open seat. They just happened to see something in whatever they saw when I brought to the table, and they took a shot and gave me an opportunity. They brought me in almost like a consultant. They would send me from store to store, and I would take some notes, look at operations, feed them back to my boss, who I'm sure I know for a fact he knew exactly what was happening in each one of those stores, but just kind of wanted to see if I could see what was happening. But again, they took a shot. They took a shot and they created a position for me, brought me into the group, and then from there, I was able to secure a spot at our Mercedes-Benz store as the service director there. And I was there, I think, about a year before I was offered the position that I'm in.
That's awesome. I was talking to some Hendrix folks the other day, and they were telling me they don't hire for positions. They hire for people. If they see you and they like you and they think you fit, then they make room, or they have room and they put you where they think that you would belong. So I kind of like how those tied together with what you just said.
Yeah, and we do that all the time. We have so many people that come from outside of the industry. We'll find our owner or our director team. We'll meet somebody, and it'll be just the right person. And next thing you know, we're all sitting in meetings going, "Hey, you've got to meet this person. We need to figure out what they can do for us." And a lot of our key positions have come from that.
Yeah. I love that. So kind of to more of a fun question. What U.S. city is known for the best chicken wings? Anyone in the comments got that before?
It's not Green Bay, Sean. I can say that. I'm going to tell you, I personally, I'm going to vote for Buffalo. I mean, Rochester has the garbage plates, but Buffalo is the home, and that's where they named it. And I even had to learn the ropes when I took this job, and I started to work more and more in Buffalo. That everybody had to take me around, and they had to teach me where to go and where not to go. So the anchor bar is where they were invented, but in general, the people don't necessarily. Oh, and there it is. Look at that. They don't always necessarily view the anchor bar as the best. I think most of the people that I interact with will tell you either a place called Barbill that has a couple of locations, and I'm happy they actually just opened one in Rochester. So either Barbill or I've also been a fan of a place called Duff's. Duff's is dangerous. There it is. Duff's is dangerous because they will tell you that mild is medium, medium is hot, and hot you can't stand. So,
jeez.
We have a lot of people in the comments disagreeing with you. We have Tolly saying Sacramento. We have Rob Biggs saying diners in Jersey.
Man, they probably bred their wings out there. Like it's not good. That's not good.
Tom, we were ready to go on cue with those pictures, by the way.
Perfect. I could have been. We didn't even script that. It was fantastic.
Well, I know Anchor Bar would certainly be one, and while their wings, I think, are really good.
I was always partial.
I agree with you on Duff's. I haven't tried the other place yet, so.
Yeah, I love Duff's. Barbill has been amazing, and there's one in Aurora, and if you're not out there by 11 o'clock, you're not getting in. You're going to stand in line forever.
All right, now we talk about the wings, and now everybody chimes in. All right, so Tom, the theme for the upcoming event in May is the 90s Rewind, okay? So Vanessa's been hard at work. We've got some photos to show tonight. Vanessa, I'm going to turn it over to you. Do you want to bring the pictures up in any order that you want to do that?
Yeah.
And we'll let the audience chime in on who they think these 90s stars are.
Yeah. So just to reiterate, we got some submissions of some familiar faces of, pictures of them in the 90s. And so it's very fitting for our theme. And so let's just go ahead and leave your guesses on who it is in the comments.
Okay.
Here's our first one.
Ooh.
Who do we think this is?
That's not Ed Roberts.
Ed Roberts, you can vote as well. I'm hoping Larry Sherman votes here also. So
got a couple people saying Foley. Sir Williams.
Yeah.
We're talking. Must not have changed much since the 90s. Aging like fine wine. It is Tolly Williams.
All right. Very good.
All right. Moving on. Here is our second 90s star. Who do we think it is?
Now, Vanessa, has this young man been on the roundtable somewhat recently?
Yes,
Has
actually.
he been on the After Dark show in the last few months?
In the last few, yes, I believe
Yeah.
so.
I believe a couple times, yeah.
Yeah. And I also saw him at NADA talking on a podcast, which was cool.
He's
From
very
afar.
popular. Yeah, very
He is
popular.
a star in the automotive and the fixed ops and a star of the 90s.
Okay.
Yes, you guys would be right. It is Brian Kramer.
Oh, Brian Kramer. Okay, look
Brian
at that.
Kramer.
You
Yep.
didn't tell he's swimming in, yeah.
All right. Number 3, our third 90s star.
Ooh.
This
tough one.
is.
I commented to you, look at the mullet, Vanessa, right?
The mullet is iconic. The mustache.
Tom, did you have a mullet?
I did not have a mullet. I did not.
Okay.
I would be almost unrecognizable in the 90s. I was kind of a punk back then, I guess.
Oh, wow.
Michelle thinks it's Ed.
Ed Roberts. Could that be Ed? That could be Ed.
Tony likes his hat. Robert thinks it's Ed.
Katrina, do you know?
I have no idea. I'm not good with like connecting faces to younger versions, so I'm not
Katrina,
sure.
you've met this person.
Okay, then I'm guessing it's probably Ed Roberts.
Well, it's Les Silver, right, Ted?
It's Les Silver.
Oh, wow.
I started to get confused myself because then I started seeing the resemblance, and then I was like, "Wait, no."
I'm wondering if Jennifer Ness would get this correct.
Yeah, I bet my mom would. Honestly, wow.
Okay. Well,
I'll have to tell her to rewatch.
You
if
would be
she's-
wrong, Tony.
Les Silver back in the
Les
90s.
Silver.
Wow.
Okay.
All right, the first one that stumped us all. Okay, let's see if we can get the next one, our fourth 90 star. Here we go.
Ooh.
Kind of a farther away shot, so this one might be a little bit more difficult, but let's see if we can get it.
Katrina, very athletic looking, this young man.
Yeah, I feel like he's about to catch a frisbee or something. Maybe a football.
Yeah. Seems like everybody's stumped.
Yeah.
Tony says cute.
Big name in automotive, and he's been all over the roundtable, especially the last event.
Yes.
Yeah.
Should I give a hint?
You're gonna have to. No
The
one's got it
last
yet.
name has a color in it. It's not the entire last name, but it's the first part of the last name, and it is a color.
Ooh. And he's also playing in a field, right?
Yes.
Steve
Yeah.
Greenfield.
Woo!
Yeah, there
Got
we
it, Katrina. That is Steve
Steve
Greenfield.
go. Steve Greenfield. Wow.
Okay. Last
It's
but
going pretty good.
not least, who is this 90s star?
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so some hints, Vanessa. Has this young lady been on the After Dark show recently?
She has. Yep, she has recently been on the After Dark show. She's very involved with the Fixed Ops Roundtable as a whole. Very active in our After Dark shows. Sean coming in. Robert. Tony's confident. All right. Yeah, that one is, everybody got it right. Yep, this is Michelle.
Michelle McLean, back in the 90s, a
Michelle
cheerleader.
McLean.
Michelle, how old were you here? You could chime in. Tully's got it too. Yeah, definitely. So there we go. Young Michelle McLean. Look at that. Very good.
That was
So everybody, if you've got a 90s photo that you want to submit, you can either put it on social media and tag Fixed Ops Roundtable, or you could send it in, okay, to us here at the Fixed Ops Roundtable, and we'll put it on the show. And Tom, pretty exciting, okay, some of those pictures.
Some good stuff. I had a very boy band style kind of a beard where it was more like a chin strap, you know?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh, we have to see it. Send us
We
your
gonna see it?
pictures.
Yeah, we
I'll
gotta
find
see it.
one.
All right.
I love it.
Katrina, what do you think about all that?
That's great. I love kind of this audience interaction, and I think everyone enjoys it because we're all a community here and we all know each other well. So seeing pictures of when we didn't know everyone, it's fun.
Yep. So Katrina, when's this big event coming up? Sorry.
Our next event is the 90s Rewind, and it will be May 13th through 16th, just a couple months away, but it will be here before you know it. So get your tickets now at fixedopsroundtable.com.
Wow. Okay. So big event, everybody. It will be here before you know it. And we got a lot of exciting stuff coming up for you in the next couple weeks. So stay tuned. And we want to thank our featured guest, Tom Druzynski. Tom, thank you for telling us a little bit about your background, and very humbled to have you here with us live tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
On Wednesday, Chris McPhillips is going to be here as our featured guest, and we've got a great show planned. So join us on Wednesday at 8 p.m. On behalf of Tom Druzynski at WestHerr, Katrina Ness, and Vanessa Collins. I'm Ted Ings, and we'll see you on Wednesday night at 8 o'clock.